What's going on, everybody? It's Frito here for Clickheads. In today's video, we're going to break down who you should main in Valorant, which agent would work best depending on what game you're coming from or what approach or playstyle you want to have to the game, explaining and adjusting for the different levels of experience and the level of commitment you want to try-harding or not in Valorant. The first agent that's really easy to talk about is Raze, because I think she's pretty noob-friendly, but also a noob trap, in that the tactics she uses isn't valued too highly in the competitive space, but will get you some free kills. And while you're still learning the gun mechanics, how the maps flow, and how to play defuse, you can rack up some free and fun kills in the meantime. She's the one agent in Valorant that has that real fun factor that lets you do wacky things very different from all the other agents in the game. But also, I will admit that she's going to instill in you some bad habits if you rely too much on her explosions and stray away from the core mechanics of the game. But if I had a buddy that wanted to join a stack just getting into the game, Raze would be a rather easy one to have them hop in and not have to learn smoke locations or be punished too badly for not knowing how to play Valorant at a decent level. But really, being try-hard sweaties ourselves, we're going to advocate that you learn the core fundamentals of the game, which are going to take you a lot farther, which is going to be great in bringing up my next agent, Brimstone, who, especially if you're new and not stellar on your gun mechanics yet, you can go really far by learning the utility exchange of the game. Brimstone smokes are S tier. In fact, I have him as the best agent in the game overall because he fits in so many different situations. He can play any site basically, on attack or defense, and commands the most map control of any agent. All of which you can do with very little skill required, but massive dividends on game sense and timing of working with your team. Brimstone has the kit that doesn't lead directly to kills, but is a great agent to pick up to try to help your teammates set up to make plays on controlling the map, either by executing sites so you can actually go in and plant, or by defending against enemy pushes by delaying them with smokes. Even just one at a time can hold down an entire lane. Brimstone smokes are the hardest to push through in the game, especially when combined with an easy to aim molly, and Stimpack is just fun to use. When defending and expecting a push, you can use it at the ready to increase your firepower so that you're not as easily overwhelmed, or I think it's best used preemptively before you go around a corner, allowing you and some teammates to run and gun. Remember that the extra fire rate persists a few seconds after you leave the area of effect of the stim beacon, so you can set it down, prep the team to be ready to run in, and go guns a-blazing with SMGs and clear a site that way. A lot of these plays are really approachable to new players, but hey, what do you mean, Frito? I'm not a noob. I'm the best player on my team. I want to dominate the lobby. Well, if you consider yourself a Fragger and you feel like you've got your movement and aim fundamentals down and you're ready to pick up the mantle of being the Fragger on your team, well, the best picks for you, I would say, in this order are Breach, Phoenix, and Jett. Especially if you come from Counter-Strike already, these characters will feel most user-friendly for you. The pacing of peeking with flashbangs from Counter-Strike works very similar to how Breach and Phoenix work when pushing in angles and taking aim duels. Overall, these three agents are the best if you have an aggressive tendency. Breach overall is the strongest in the metagame right now. His abilities go through walls and set up not only himself, but his teammates as well. And although he's technically an initiator, I think he plays a bit more like a duelist, invading a bit on Phoenix and Jett's role, but Phoenix isn't too far behind him, and you might find is a bit easier if you're less familiar with the maps, as he can heal himself with either his wall or his Molotov, and his ult gives him an extra life, so he'll be a bit more forgiving when you're trying to learn the pacing of taking aim duels. But I think Breach has a higher impact and ceiling overall, and we've barely mentioned Jett in all of this because really it's a pretty fair consensus at this point, I think, that you shouldn't be picking Jett unless you are actually Shroud. If you're as good as some of the top players in the world, you can get Jett to work, but I don't advise picking her up for the ranked context. You can have a lot of fun with her playing unrated for sure, but whereas Breach and Phoenix can enable an aggressive playstyle with either being forgiving or having high impact, just setting you up for free duels, Jett sort of has to just take them and win them without much setup. She has the mobility to get around and dodge things that the enemy can do to you. You might find her very fun. The problem is, much like Raze, the fun movement of Jett is tuned down to the point of it not being very impressive in comparison to what a character can normally do. you. She would have to kind of be OP to be a strong ranked character. We'll talk more about Jett in my agent's tier list video, but for now, let's just say that she's a bit more of an unrated pub stomper, because over the course of a long 24 rounds playing on both sides, she's really going to pale in comparison of the other utility and reliability that you can get out of other agents, but perhaps will be quite high on the fun factor due to the outplays that you can get with her mobility, especially the Reddit clips you're probably racking up with her ultimate. But until Riot seem to want to change this, I wouldn't suggest maining Jett if you're serious about ranking up, or at least making it easier on yourself. And speaking of ranking up easily, that brings us back to some really try-hard agents in Cypher or Sova, who are both agents that are going to be good for you if you've came from other games like Rainbow Six or even Overwatch. There's a lot of trickery and outplay with their kits. With Sova, timing your owl drone in with a teammate helps them go aggressive. Cypher's traps across the map can slow down the game for you and really punish the enemy playing in a fun way. With the combination of both of them, the information gathering sets up for free kills a lot more reliably than some of the flashier agents in the game. These agents are good for you if you want to get a bit more nerdy about the game and win by any means necessary, but don't necessarily want to be the star player, but play more of a supporting role, which creates an awkward transition for our next agent in Sage, who really isn't a support. Honestly, she's just sort of a carry pick right now. Because here's the thing, you might think Sage, oh, she's a healer, she heals her team, walls off the enemy, plays slow and safe. The more you learn about Sage is that she is a super powerful agent. She heals and supports her team, yes, but because she can heal herself every 30 seconds, some of the best players in the world are playing Sage because she has that tankiness of Phoenix, but has quite better utility with slow orbs that deny retaking space, and her wall is considered an S tier ability overall, outright denying an angle to be entered entirely sometimes without the enemy shooting it, and it just buys up so much time. The wall, when used correctly, is incredible. So with that all said, don't pick Sage in anticipation of it being like a Mercy or a support in general. So far in the state of Valorant as it is, Sage is kind of a carry role. She often wants to be playing on site by herself and one of the last people alive so that she can res a teammate or heal them or herself. And just like in Counter-Strike, you often would put some of your best players in that type of role so that they can clutch out the round for you. And Sage is definitely that. And last up on the agent list, I'm gonna put Viper and Omen in a similar category. These are characters that are very sneaky and can outsmart the enemy. They aren't very high in the competitive tier list, which is why I'm kind of mentioning them last. I like to advise you guys to pick up agents that I think are gonna have a long-term benefit playing ranked, but I really enjoy these playstyles, despite knowing that they're not as competitive as other options. So you should pick up Viper or Omen knowing that until some balance changes come through, they have kind of gimmicky playstyles where they both can set up their smokes and lurk inside them and go for goofy flanks or play awkward positions. Omen, for example, can toss smokes across the map and teleport into them or use his ultimate to teleport into them, but Viper can feel really powerful when she puts her ultimate on point, holding the bomb until you learn how to outplay it by clearing through the smoke in pairs. Both of them kind of provide a lot of visual noise, but require the gameplay to be a bit more unorganized to get to work, but that may be good for you, especially if you only really want to play an unrated and make crazy plays happen, or enjoy the challenge of trying to use an agent in innovative ways. I think that's the type of player you'll want to be to main these agents, because right now it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle where a lot of what they do, Brimstone just does better, easier, more reliably. But if you're interested in going against the grain, I definitely understand that. I love playing counter meta in games. It can be pretty fun trying to figure out how to get these offbeat style abilities to work. But with that said, that's all of the agents in Valorant covered up to this point in the closed beta. Who do you main in Valorant? Let us know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave it a like, and don't forget to hit subscribe and hit the bell icon to actually get notified when our videos go live. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for Clickheads. We'll see you guys next time.
This game.
My ultimate is ready.
Behind.
Heal him.
I can't, dude. Dude, I'm gonna die. I got one bullet. Oh! Let's go!
Please stand by.